So I've grown up always being taught that what we do impacts everyone around us. So it's really important to be cognizant of how we conduct ourselves, our thoughts and actions alike. And the attempt has always been to, at the least, cause the least amount of discomfort and damage. Whether or not that has been apparent is a separate question. But very recently, there have been a bunch of things that have happened that have made me question as to whether this is really solicited by the larger group. Because I made certain observations, literally walking down the street, watching strangers mostly. And I found that most people seem to be conscious only of their own interests and needs at that point in time. And pretty much everyone seemed to be unaware of what was going on around them. So a person who was driving a vehicle was seemingly unaware of other vehicles and pedestrians alike. Um, People walking on the pavement seem to be lost in their own world, not necessarily aware of what was going on around them, which might have needed their attention or cognizance at the least. All of these things kind of made me think about a few things that I have kind of taken as an absolute truth thus far. It made me wonder as to whether there is any value in doing something worthwhile for the larger good, as we say it. Because if no one's really aware of what is being done, is there really a point in doing anything for larger groups, you know, and trying to make things better in some way? When I came back to my desk, I thought about this for a while and I did a little bit of research in my own way. And I happened to, thankfully, bump into this quote by Viktor Frankl, who was an Austrian. He was also a Holocaust survivor, a psychiatrist, and a philosopher, many things in one. The thing he said is, what is to give light must endure burning. I read this quote a few times over, and it took a while for it to properly sink in. And when I read up more about his life and the lives of few more people who have endured things as horrible as the Holocaust, and there are many, by the way, I realized that those situations were so absolutely hopeless that it was almost pointless to try and give anyone hope, because it was very evident that those situations didn't really have a future, those people in those situations, that is. And yet, there were people who would naturally keep doing things that would um, kind of give a glimpse of hope, maybe sometimes put a smile on people's faces, however hard that may be, and somehow help people endure and go on, fighting for their life and their rights and their absolute existence, really. So, if those people in those crazy, trying times could do this to give hope to others around, we've known about so many crazy, amazing freedom fighters. I was recently at a place of historical importance, a jail where freedom fighters had been imprisoned, and when we saw those appalling conditions that those freedom fighters must have been put through, um, it was evident that most average human beings wouldn't even survive, leave alone do something to give hope to others. And yet, these individuals kept doing things which gave a glimmer of hope to others. And that must have come at a very high cost, because to give hope to others when you yourself don't seem to have much hope, honestly, is something out of the ordinary. But the important learning for me from this was that if you want to do something that is meaningful and that matters to you, you must endure. What is to give light must endure burning. So there may be times when some things work out and you see an impact, however small it may be. And if you do, maybe you can just smile for a bit. And if it doesn't, you've got to consider going on doing it if it matters that much to you, because there is no other way. If you give up simply because you don't see the impact of it, there is no point in you starting off with that exercise in the first place. So this was something that really helped me recalibrate and frankly just retain a certain thought process that I had, which I was afraid I was kind of starting to question. And every time I go in that direction, I realize that there's far too much amazing stuff that has happened in the world. If you just look in the right places and look up the right people, I think there's a lot of motivation to just keep doing things that are principally important to you. What is to give light must endure burning.